What is up, guys? It's your boy Shady Mike, and today we're gonna take some time and walk through the very best settings for Madden 26. Hey, the game just launched 24 hours ago, and I've already gotten probably close to 100 messages overnight with people having catastrophic issues with frame rate, stuttering, and crashes. And some of the information that I know, I just wanted to share with the community. Talk about some of the things that worked for me to stop these issues and get butter smooth gameplay, and some other options that have worked for others. So if you do like the content, or if this video helps you at all, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps out a ton. New this year, I got accepted into the EA Creator Network. So if you do plan on buying this game on PC for the EA app, use code Shady Mike Gaming on checkout to support the channel. I really appreciate you guys. But other than that, let's go ahead and get into the best settings for Madden 26 so far. Oh, and also, guys, my PC specs, because I know a lot of people will ask, are in the description listed out, as long as a link to the actual full build video. So I did want to let everyone know that. So let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to be changing in this video. We're going to navigate over to our settings, and then we're going to tab over all the way until we see graphics. Now, unlike the console version, console I think's got two options: performance and visuals or something like that. The PC version, you can change much more. So full disclosure, I do play this game on the ultra preset everything max with so far perfect butter smooth performance. However, a lot of people have been reaching out with issues, and I want to talk through and walk you guys through, first of all, the two settings I think are causing the crashing and stuttering, and then for people who may not have the most powerful PC, an alternate setup that you guys can use that's going to help you squeeze out as much performance as possible. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So the first thing I want to show is obviously the full screen resolution. This should match your monitor. So I have a 4K monitor. We're going to be in 3840 by 2160. If you have a 1440p monitor, I believe it's 2560 by 1440p. 1080p is going to be 1920 by 1080 if you game in 1080p. So just make sure this option matches the resolution of your monitor. For the next option, I believe this is the most one of the most important options that's causing issues, and this is your window mode. Now, you have the option here to be in full screen, windowed mode, or borderless windowed mode. Now, conventional PC gaming wisdom, a lot of PC gamers prefer full screen for the best stability in their games. Personally, I'm a borderless guy. I use borderless windowed in every game, but specifically EA Madden games over the past 2 to 3 years, I have had issues with stuttering and just jitters and crashes and just unstable frame times in the full screen mode. So that's why I use borderless window. If you've been having issues and you are in full screen, consider switching to borderless window. That's what I'm using, and it is great for me so far, as you guys can see from my gameplay. Now, let's talk about frame rate. I have a 144 hertz monitor, but I want to talk to you guys about the settings that are available to us in this game and what they do. The frame rate is going to affect, obviously, your frame rate in the menu, in the game, and in cutscenes. So you have an option to lock everything, all three of those phases, to 60 FPS. You have the option to lock them to 30 FPS. You can lock it to 120 FPS, or you can put no limit on FPS. Or there is a dynamic option which will lock your gameplay to 60 FPS while locking your cutscenes in game to 30 FPS. Now, apparently this is one of the most important settings that is impacting people this year. And let me be perfectly clear, I just want to share with you guys what has worked for me. Yes, I have a 144 hertz monitor, so I know most people will say put no limit or put lock to 120, but guys, the setting that has worked perfectly for me and given me butter smooth gameplay is locking your frames to 60 FPS. Now, several people have reported they were having issues, and so what they did was they came and put no limit on FPS. When I tried this personally, and that's all I can speak on, my computer, my specific situation, I experience crashes. Within 10 minutes of changing this to no limit, I started crashing. The moment I put it back to lock to 60, I didn't have any issues. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll see what's best. If you're having issues on 60, try it on no limit. If you're having issues on no limit, try it on 60. So the first two and probably most important two issues that I recommend you change is switch your game to borderless window, lock it to 60, or unlock it, and let's see if that fixes the issues the community is having. Personally, I am not a fan of Vsync, for it usually causes just unstable frame times and latency, input latency for me. So I prefer to turn this off, not just in Madden, but in every one of my games. However, if you're experiencing screen tearing, see if that fixes it for you. But I personally almost never use Vsync and rarely ever recommend it. For the HDR, yes, I have an HDR monitor, but I don't use it. It doesn't look great for me. I keep it off. Now, rendering quality, you've got a couple different presets that change all of the different settings. If you go to auto, the game will scan your computer and input what it thinks is best for you and your setup. So you can definitely try that. For me, it defaults to ultra. I personally use ultra. However, what I want to do is I want to take some time and go through each one of these settings and make changes for those of you like, hey, maybe, you know, your computer can't run the game with everything maxed out, but maybe you still want the game to look good, but you want to squeeze out as much performance as possible. And that's what we're going to do in this video. Let's just walk through each and every step and show what a great place is to put every one so that you can get some much better performance. So we'll start with the 3D grass. This is going to determine whether it's going to render the grass all the time or just sometimes. And if you want to save some frames and some performance, I recommend changing this to auto. What it means is when the grass is not the sole focus of the shot, it will not be rendered fully. If you need an example or a reference of this, this is the setting that college football uses on the consoles. It saves a lot of resources, so that's what it uses. Advanced hair. Now, this is a setting that last year and the year before, it actually used to just be the same as 3D grass. It was either auto or like always on or always off. Now it's actually in levels. So you've got low, medium, high, and ultra. Personally, I think low makes the guy's hair looks like they got spaghetti hanging from their head. So I recommend trying medium. But obviously, naturally, if you are trying to squeeze out as much performance as possible, go to low. Or if you still don't think medium looks good enough, you can go to high. But a lot of these settings, we just want to make sure we get off of that ultra preset to save as much performance as possible. So for this, I recommend medium. Now for ambient occlusion, here's the thing. This definitely has a pretty big visual impact, but it's also one of the most performance intensive visual impacts that we're going to see. And what I'm noticing and what I think is happening to a lot of people, ray tracing is an extremely VRAM intensive task. And I think this setting is pushing a lot of people up to their graphics cards VRAM upper limit. So if you're looking to save a massive amount of VRAM, which, you know, being at your VRAM upper limit can cause stuttering and shuddering and things of that nature, I do actually recommend turning this completely off. Yes, it does for sure flatten out the game a bit and get rid of some of those shiny helmet reflections. And if you don't want to go all the way that far, you can use a different version like Screen Space or Ground Truth. I would recommend Ground Truth and maybe go high, medium, low, something along the lines of that. But if you're looking to save the most amount of performance, I recommend turning ambient occlusion off. But again, if you end up with some performance headroom, feel free to try a different version. Just the ray tracing can be extremely demanding if your computer is not prepared for it. Now, lens flares and bloom, what you can do with these is instead of turning them completely off, you can change it to auto. And what that'll do is that will only show these effects when they are the direct main thing that your camera is looking at, saving some resources in the background. Same thing for high res circular depth of field. Recommend turning this one off as it's pretty resource heavy. For mesh quality, now this is another one that's going to have a pretty significant visual impact, right? On Ultra, the game looks incredible. If you do go down to low, guys, this is where you're going to be looking at those textures. Not going to lie, they look a little bit close to the PS4, and the game is not going to look good with the low meshes. So I do recommend coming back up to medium, and if your PC can handle it, go to high, but you definitely first want to make sure you just get off of that ultra preset. That's going to handle, you know, that just kind of that graphic fidelity that you see coming off of your helmets, the reflections, that shine. That's a really big part of it. Now for texture quality, listen to this one. I really want, no matter what PC you have, to try and keep this at high. Yes, they have a medium. They do not have a low. It's just high and medium. What this is going to be is your actual physical textures that the game loads. This is mostly going to be a VRAM hit as opposed to a frames or performance hit. So as long as you have the headway for the VRAM, I recommend keeping this on high. Now, the next two settings I'm actually pretty excited about: shadow quality and crowd quality. I think this is where you should go first to try and get the most performance back from your system. I recommend putting both of these at low if you're struggling for frames. The reason I say that is because personally, this is just a personal opinion. You may feel differently, especially when you see this in game. For example, we take the crowd quality, right? If you're at the 5 yard, if you're at your own 5 yard line, you're not looking all the way down the field at the opposing end zone fans. So you don't want that to be rendered. What this setting does is just determines how far away these fans are going to be rendered. So I recommend using this setting to try and get some performance back. Same thing for shadow quality. Personally, I don't care about this because it doesn't impact my gameplay. But if you're running through the sun and you don't like the way the shadows look under the player, I understand that completely. Feel free to turn it up as needed, but personally, I'm not looking at the shadows. Doesn't bother me at all. Now, the VFX quality, this is a new setting this year that impacts the particles in heavy rain and heavy snow, these new weather impacts. I do recommend turning this down. You can turn it all the way down to low if you are dying to squeeze out as much performance as possible. But for this, I would probably shoot for medium. And then, naturally, if you need to go below that, you can. Or if you have some performance headway, you can go back up to high. Now, the reason I don't like medium for this is because in the snow, it just makes like the snow and the rain, like particles, very blocky. And so kind of the higher this goes, kind of the smoother the particles look. So it can be annoying, like when it's raining, you just got like these blocky things raining down your screen. So I'd say put this at medium at the lowest. But again, if you need to get more performance headroom, put it wherever you need it. The last option, guys, is motion blur. This is personal preference. A lot of people don't like motion blur and just turn it off anyway. We've never known motion blur to have a significant performance impact, but that is going to be personal preference, whether you want to leave it on or off. I recommend turning it off if you're trying to get the literal most out of your computer. But obviously, if you got the performance headroom or you just like that effect, leave it on. I've been leaving it on because it is part of that ultra preset. Now, again, guys, I just want you guys to know that this is just kind of an idea of how you can get this game running smooth. If you are struggling or you think the game doesn't, now it's like, so say you put in all these settings and now your game's running smooth, but now you don't like the way it looks. This is where you work backwards, right? Come up, crowd quality on medium, shadows on medium, mesh on high from medium. I would leave these two the same. Now, maybe you want to turn on ambient occlusion, turn that to medium or high, right? Put it, advanced hair to high, right? This is where you work backwards and just see what causes your PC to start to struggle. At the end of the day, I do definitely understand, everyone can't run the ultra preset, and there's literally nothing wrong with that. This game does not have a DLSS or frame gen situation going. Obviously you can look at different resources like lossless scaling and things of that nature, but that's, something we'll talk about in another video. But I just wanted to help the people that were having issues overnight and give you guys some suggestions to how you can get this game playing smooth, because personally, so far, knock on wood, it has been perfect for me. The only time I ran into issues was when I unlocked my frame rate. I went right back to where I was comfortable, and I haven't had any problems since. So guys, I hope this video helped you. I think this is going to be a really cool year. I think Madden is really good this year on the PC. A lot of people ask like, hey, is the PC port good? I don't like to say something's supposed to blanket good or bad, but I'm having fun with it, and I hope you guys see all my videos and content on the stream. It's fun, it's smooth. I think it's going to be a great year. We just, as I was recording this video, we got news that like mods are going to be coming out in day 2, so that's cool. I'll make sure I cover that on the channel. So yeah, I'm just excited for the year, guys. I hope this video helps some of you. Other than that, guys, again, thanks so much for the support on the channel, y'all. It's your boy Shady Mike. I'm signing out. Peace. Threes.